Good afternoon, people of the Church of Scientology of Melbourne. As I said before, my name is the Reverend Paul David Schofield, and I simply wanted to share with you something that arose from a conversation with a former Scientologist a few days ago. He had the realisation that Scientology sold control, and that any problem you have is simply a lack of control, and Scientology says you can get more control of it by applying Scientology. So, what exactly is control? Well, it's being able to do something all the way through anytime you want to. So, Scientology says if you have a problem with drug addiction, it can help you get more control of your life. If you have a problem with relationships, it can help you get more control of that part of your life. And this is what Scientology sells. It sells control. It sells personal control. But does it actually deliver? As people go up the Scientology bridge to total freedom, do they become more in control? We have the example of Mary Anderson, the Director of Special Affairs here in Melbourne. Mary is OT level 5. Part of her job is to handle external influences and to get rid of external influences for the church. Well, Anonymous apparently counts as an external influence, so I don't see Mary being able to exert too much control over us. Nor do I see her deputy, Emmanuel Fundus, being able to exert too much control over us out here. So that sort of doesn't really fit, does it? What happened to the control? Well, why don't we try going a little bit higher on the Scientology bridge and having a look at people doing OT7, level OT7, right up near the top of the current bridge. Why don't we look at the example of the Reverend Rex Fowler? The Reverend Rex Fowler went to Scientology's Mecca in Clearwater not that long ago. He had 275 hours of advanced spiritual counselling. A friend of mine worked that out. It came to a minimum of over $110,000 US if he got every possible discount. The Reverend Rex Fowler after that went back to Denver, Colorado to continue with his Scientology level OT7. A non-Scientologist business associate got a bit upset with the way the Reverend Rex Fowler had taken $200,000 out of his business and donated it to an unnamed church or charity. That employee, that business associate I should say, was a man by the name of Thomas Ciancio. He went to get his final severance check in the office from the Reverend Rex Fowler, and the Reverend Rex Fowler shot him 3 times in the head. The Reverend Rex Fowler then, it is alleged, turned the gun on himself, but survived. The Reverend Rex Fowler is currently in a Denver jail facing charges of first-degree murder. I don't think the Reverend Rex Fowler has a great deal of control in his life, especially since he's asked for a public defendant because he doesn't have the money to fund his own legal defence. Or another example, Steve Brackett. Steve Brackett was the fiancé of Nancy Cartwright, the voice of Bart Simpson. Steve Brackett and Nancy Cartwright donated, I think in 2005, $10 million to the International Association of Scientologists. Steve Brackett also donated by himself $100,000 to another church project called Superpower. He was one of the poster boys for Superpower. Steve Brackett's confided to a few friends just before he was going to Scientology's Mecca for some more advanced spiritual counselling that he was depressed about the state of his finances. Rather than fly, he threw himself off a freeway bridge. Tragically died. I don't think he had a great deal of control. And you go right to the top of the Scientology bridge, people who hit the level of OT8. There's a number of those who quite openly left the church since they've done that level. One told me that she spent 3 weeks after finishing the level having trouble not going completely and utterly insane when she got home. That's hardly what you would expect of someone who is supposed to be cause over life and in control of everything because now they are OT. And if you want an example closer to home, why don't you have a look at your own Flora Sullivan? Laura Sullivan's a member of the OT committee here. I think she might still be the chairperson. She's a member, actually a board member of the Narconon Drug Rehabilitation out of East Warburton. Laura Sullivan was hiding in the bushes taking photos of a Channel 7 film crew outside the Scientology school at Mooroolbar. When they spotted her and asked a few questions of her, she blatantly denied she was a Scientologist and then tried to hide in a shop from the film crew. All of this was rather embarrassingly put on national TV. It's hardly an example of control. And what about this very building that you're in? 3 times you put it up for sale and each time it's been withdrawn at the last minute. That's not really good control. And what about the absolute ultimate Scientology leader, Mr. David Miscavige? Former member after former member are coming forward with tales of a man who can't control his own spending and can't even control his own temper but flies into uncontrollable rages and beats his subordinates. What happened to the control you were promised? Maybe you should actually have a good long look at your own life and see if you had some control there. Or has it all been taken from you? What happened to the control Scientology promised you would have of your own life? What happened to the control you were promised you would have of your own money? What happened to it? Think about it.